entertainment, relationships, art, culture. If it's happening to or around us, let's talk about it. My name is Qamil, your host, and I'd like to welcome you to the So Dope Show. So, welcome to the So Dope Show for the first time. I feel like my lighting is so dark.
Yep.
Yours is so bright.
Is mine bright?
Yeah, it's good bright though.
Like too bright?
No, it's good bright. Let me see if I.
Okay, yours is like sexy Sylvies
I
Love
wasn't
bright,
even.
which is like appropriate for
It
this.
was definitely unintentional. Well,
Okay.
I'm excited to have you here. I've done your intro twice already. Um,
Okay.
just touching on the many things that you do. I don't even know. There's so many angles to go, but we're going to talk about love. And I know that you love
Yeah,
love.
girl. Show enough.
I love her of love. So I think the first thing that I'd like to talk about is your books, because you
Oh,
are, since we're talking about storyteller, you are exactly that.
yeah.
And I remember speeding through Agave in, like, I don't even know, a day maybe.
Yeah, really?
Yes. And I vividly remember the story. Like, I pictured the whole thing in my head. So we can just start at the beginning, like how you got into writing, not writing, but writing to books and short stories.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess I've kind of been a writer all my life. I can remember as far back as the seventh grade. It was the first time I remember a teacher actually pulling me to the side to tell me that I was gifted and that writing was something that I should pursue. So hashtag the teachers who see gifts and nurture them and speak into them. Um, so I started really writing stories junior high school, and I remember I would come come to school with these stories, and my classmates would be like, "You got the rest of the book? You got the rest of the book?" So I would go home and continue to write on my
I used to
stories
do
and
the
not
same thing.
necessarily
That's
do
so
my
funny.
homework. Not necessarily doing my
All
homework.
up in
So
class, right?
I was,
Reading to your classmates. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that was that. But then um I think I really started to explore writing again after my husband passed away. I went to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and my therapist also picked up on the fact that I was a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "You have to do what heals you. This is a part of your process to healing." And so I started dabbling in poetry a little bit, but my favorite way to write is to tell stories.
Yeah.
And so I started reading a lot, and then I just took the plunge. I was like, I'm going to do it. I found out that it wasn't as difficult to get a book out there as it used to be back in the
It's
day.
not.
And so I just took the plunge, and I wrote Things Remembered, which is kind of loosely based on my story of being a widow. And then it just went from there. And the characters, as you know, because you're a writer too,
Yeah.
just kind of take on a life of their own, and they just capture your heart.
Yeah.
So,
They're like, they become like real people to you.
yep, yep.
Like,
To
you
you and
really,
to your readers.
no one can tell
Like
you.
your readers think they go with your characters and
Yeah.
stuff.
That they don't
It's
exist.
crazy.
Like, these characters really start to exist. So did you find
Yep.
when you were writing things, remember when you started writing after that therapy process, did you feel like it was healing, like a part of your healing process, or were you just doing it because it was suggested?
I did it because I was enjoying it once I started.
Hmm.
And and as far as Things Remembered is concerned, there's this really powerful love story in the undertone of Things Remembered, that is really true for me.
Hmm.
And every time I would tell this story about this guy that I met, and we had this crazy connection, people would say, "That sounds like a book. That sounds like a book." And so I started it, I guess, as a part of kind of being obedient to, you're supposed to be a writer, and your therapist is even saying it. But then people are also that are hearing this story are saying it's something that they would want to read. And
Yeah.
so that's how that started. And then it just kind of took on a life of its own. But the funny thing about healing is that people think when you hear the word healing, that automatically means feel good, feel better.
No.
When healing can be a hot mess and part of the process of it.
Like a scab, when like you get a
Oh,
wound and it's ugly and it's like, ew, this is so gross, and
ugly and
eventually
messy and painful.
it hurts, and then it scabs, and then you might pick at the scab, and that is the same thing that it feels like when you're healing emotionally.
Yep.
You keep revisiting the thing that hurt you mentally, or just going back to that place. So that's the same thing as picking that scab off. So yeah, it's not. It's exactly as you said. It's not this pretty, like, oh, everything is okay, all is well.
Everything's getting better.
No, and
No.
even when you get to a place of healing from whatever traumatic thing has happened to you, it's still there. It just doesn't feel like it did when it first happened. Right. You can cope with it. You gotta find a way to live through it or with it. Like it's a part of you now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt like when I did go back, particularly with Things Remember, because it was so personal, like some of the other books kind of, like I said, took on a life of their own, and it wasn't so much about me. When I went back and started to remember those things, because I had to write about them, you find out that things that you thought you were over, you're not necessarily over.
Triggering and yourself.
Yeah. And you like, I needed to go back and fix that. That was still a problem, you know. And so it was great. Every painful part of healing and the writing process for me, which is also always a part of healing, is always worth it. And especially when someone reads it and they send you an email or they reach out to you in some kind of way and they say, I needed this helped me, I could relate to that, then you're just like, yeah, then what I experienced, the painful part of it, was worth it.
Yeah. You know? So Things Remembered, and then, so how many books is it total? Because I was like flipping through and I saw 4. And I was like, I felt like 4. It was more. And it's 4?
There are 4 out right now, yes.
Okay. And the Things Remembered, is that a series?
Yes. So Things Remembered is a part of the Things series. So there's Things Remembered, there's Too Many Things, which is like the sequel to Things Remembered, but some of the background characters and Things Remembered kind of take the forefront. And then I began to tell their story. And the character that kind of represents me, her name's Mona. She's there, but not as prominent as she was. And Things Remembered was her deal. And then Too Many Things kind of explores the life of her best friend, which is a male, Freddie Benson, and her sister, who had some mental issues in the first book, where she
don't want to give it away.
she had some mental issues, and you kind of see her work through her process and Things Remember. So it's really triumphant. Yeah. Okay. So it's 2 books in that series? There are 3. And then No Ordinary Love is the last book of the Things series. And that is kind of, again, one of those background characters that was kind of present in both of the first 2 books. She was there. She was kind of married to the best friend, and some stuff happened. And I started to tell her story up front. So, you know, it was just kind of pulling from the characters in the first 2 books and then, you know, telling a full story out of some of the background characters that people were like, I kind of like her. What's her story? And so I brought that out.
Yeah, when you write a book with an ensemble cast, you can spin that.
That can go on forever.
You can go on forever and ever. Then they can have children, and then you can write about them. And that is exactly one of the best parts of being a writer. Like, one of the best and worst parts is that there are no limitations.
Exactly.
Really amazing.
And one of the cool things for me, especially when I wrote these books, I was deep into my spoken word career and my career as an event curator. And so every book, TruFIYAH is going to show up. She's performing on some stage somewhere. And that's kind of the cool thing for me, is that people always know something about Cincinnati in my book. and they're gonna always be like, TruFIYAH, there she go, there she
like
is.
your
And so
little
Deanna comes
signature.
in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did this series, and then after that, did you do a book of short stories?
I'm working on a book of
Okay.
short stories right now called Songbook.
Okay.
And so each story in that book has a song attached to it, because you know how I am about music. So,
you're like the
yeah,
soul
it's a
music
thing.
encyclopedia.
It's a thing.
Okay, so the series, and then Agave came after that.
Yes.
Okay. Agave is a really good story. Is there going to be a sequel to Agave? Because I feel incomplete.
I know everybody says that. Yes, there will be, and I kind of without giving too much of Agave away, because I think if I had to choose, and it's hard to choose between your work because it's like choosing between who's your favorite child.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to say what my two favorites are that have been published so far, it would definitely be Too Many Things. I think my delivery on that book was like, I'll go back and read it and be like, you read that, girl,
So that came out of my hand. Like, wow.
Yeah. So that one, and then Agave, because I think it was just a great story, and I don't think that anybody would be like say that it's predictable.
It definitely was not.
And okay, yeah. And so I just I think that between those two, that's one of my favorites.
Okay.
And Agave again came out of, I was experimenting with being vegan. And so I was like, oh, I'll write a story about a vegan chef. And then it just kind of morphed into what it is.
Yeah, so, as we're talking
about
it, I'm like remembering scenes in the restaurant and then like the hotel or wherever they were getting it in.
Yeah. I think there will be a sequel. I'm just so particular because people got so attached to Vincent, which was the character in Agave, the main male character in Agave. They were so attached to him that I don't want to, even though I have to write for me and I got to write what's authentic for me, even me, I that next story of his needs to be told just right. Yeah, and so it's one of those things that I'm not rushing out.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna
take my time.
Make sure my plug is in here good. Pardon me.
That's okay. That'll give me a chance to share.
Okay.
Share the proper way.
My child was on my tablet, so he, of course, drained the battery watching my favorite shows. So I'm like, please stay on here the whole time. So
cool.
Drop the link so people can go and get the books.
Okay, I will do
all of the books and share this real quick. It's a strange time to do things virtually, because I used to have an intern that would do all this stuff.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on your own
right now.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
No, it's cool.
Like looking at it, like, okay, it's a little dark, but I look fine. Okay. So I want to talk about one more place. Sylvies Love.
Yes, let's do that.
So if you haven't seen the movie, Sylvies Love is a period movie starts at the end of the 50s and goes into the early 60s. So it's told over a 5-year period. And it is about Sylvie and Robert. And they meet at Sylvie's dad's record store, where she's pretending to work to get away from her mom. She's really just watching TV. He was like peeping her through the window. So then he came in and got himself a job. And then the love story begins from there. It's set in Harlem. It is, hold on, I got my little notes here. Written, directed, produced by Eugene Ash, which I hope to see more things from him, because what an introduction. What an introduction. Yeah. And stars Tessa Thompson as Sylvie, and Nnamdi Asomugha, I think that's how you say it, is Robert, who is Kerry Washington's husband. Yeah. It is. I don't know. I'll let you give your review. What you thought.
So first of all, spoiler alert, and if you haven't seen it, like just do yourself a favor, because we may go into things that if you haven't seen it, you might, it might give it away a little bit. But I think my overarching review of Sylvie's Love is that it was exactly what we as Black people needed at this time. It was beautifully written. The characters were beautiful. The way they dressed, the costumes, the lighting, the music is magnificent.
Yes, it is.
And even though Sylvie's Love, like you said, it was in the late 50s, early 60s, they didn't go into the traumatic happenings of,
Civil rights
racism
movement and Jim Crow.
civil rights movement. Like, we know that stuff. Yeah. They really, and they dealt with some things about the shadiness of the music industry, and they touched on things a little bit, but really they masterfully focused on this love story. And I'm telling you, I just can't right now do another "you got shot down in the street" movie. I can't do that yet. I can't do that right now. And I can't do the picket lines and picket signs right now, because that's our reality even now. It's just too much. So this was everything that we needed. It was like all the beautiful stuff about us. Yeah. And I loved it.
Without the trauma. I mean, okay, so I guess if you haven't seen it, then you should probably not, because I'm about to talk about Sylvie was a little bit messy. We ain't gonna pretend like she was like absolutely perfect, but she kept a big secret. And if it had,
I think her mama was more messy than she was.
Her mom was a hot mess, but I mean, her big secret, 5 years of a big secret that she would have continued to keep had her daddy not ratted her out. Yeah. And I think if it was reversed and it was a man, if he had a fiance who was away, we would be like, oh, he is super trash.
Right.
She was engaged when they got together, and her man was all fighting in the war, and here she was falling all in love with somebody else. So Sylvie's not gonna get a pass for that. I'm gonna give her the same side eye that I would give if it was a man in the story. But I mean, she ended up where she was supposed to be. But
but it was a lot of collateral damage and the on
sketchy,
the way.
I'm not gonna romanticize her behavior, but it does not. But sometimes love is messy. A lot of times love is messy. It's not these fantastic, wonderful, whimsical love stories that we know of, like true stories. There was some stuff that happened from A to B, and sometimes it was things like that. I'm okay with her not being perfect. I think that makes it more real to me, more realistic, and it added a little edge in the story, because I really wanted to see how that was going to work out once she let him leave.
How you gonna get out of this?
I was curious on how that was going to work out, and they're going to the man married her anyway. And that's not really a big plot twist if you haven't seen it.
Right. Yeah.
Married her anyway. I guess Sylvie was just super dope. I don't know.
I have a partner of mine that he and I write together. We call what we do duetry, where we kind of write poems together and kind of bounce off of each other and so on and so forth, kind of like a Isaac Hayes, Dionne Warwick kind of situation, but just through poetry. And so he and I talked after we both saw the movie, and we decided that we wanted to write to it. And so we were having a discussion about certain things that happened in the movie. And one of the things that came up was the help wanted sign, which is kind of like how their story took shape. Like he saw the help wanted sign in the record store. He's like, I can get some money and get some honey. And I'm gonna go for this.
Oh, she cute.
Right. And so he wrote kind of like a poem about the help wanted situation, and he was just saying how the help wanted was coming from the perspective of Robert in his poem.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when I look at the dynamics of that whole situation, the help wanted was really the father. Because if you notice, when Robert came in, I think he noticed the chemistry between Robert and his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, boom, you're hired.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how the mother was. She was so influential
Yeah.
and so messy, and she was basically pushing her daughter into an arrangement.
Yes.
This wasn't somebody
Tasha
that,
just said something about that at the arrangement part.
yeah, she was pushing her into an arrangement, and her father, I believe, wanted her to experience love, and he saw an opportunity like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to insert here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really love that. I thought her father was dope because I think he picked up on the fact that, you know, I really can't do nothing with my wife,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna try to throw something in the mix that can maybe give her an opportunity to love for real.
I was glad that they
And
didn't go heavy on the mom interfering and being like a meddling
yeah,
mother. Like they touched on it. We got it. We get it. Like the dynamic.
we got it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't like her,
No.
and let's.
I didn't need to see more of her. That was plenty of that.
It was the perfect amount.
Yeah. Even when she was teaching her class and Sylvie was there and she had her like demonstrating the etiquette and how to walk and how to like stand there and be a puppet basically. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that was I thought that was a really good scene and a very important scene. And you would think with a mother like that Sylvie would have been more demure. Like she was very headstrong and very like focused on what she wanted to do, which could have easily went the opposite way. Like she could have easily went into I'm just going to please my mom and do this, but that wasn't her personality at all.
I think she tried to.
Mm-hmm.
There were moments where she really did
I
try
mean,
to
she married the
toe the
guy,
line.
so she,
Yeah, I mean, but I think that was more about, yeah. I think she tried to do that, but I think she had so much of her father in her,
mm-hmm.
um, that real down to earth, that love, that soulfulness, that just, you know, he was just as like down to earth and welcoming as you could get.
Yeah.
And mother was on a totally different spectrum, and I think she fell somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But
the balance,
airing more toward her dad.
The balance of the mother father dynamic that was important in the story, and I really loved that she wanted to be. I loved her story how she was trying to become a TV producer when she realized that could even become a possibility. Like, wait a minute.
Right.
I didn't even know there was a colored female television producer. I'm going to do that. Like, I love the whole, of course, because as people who like to do lots of things and to chase dreams, it was amazing to see that on screen and not her, at the TV station mopping the floors or something. Like, it was quick. They didn't drag that out.
Yeah. Well, what I loved is I think that she, even though she didn't know that there was a such thing, I think she felt like she could be that, because even the whole strategy of her taking a job answering the phone at the TV station and like writing down little information, like, I'm gonna get my opportunity. And then I think it was just the icing on the cake when she found out, like, oh, this is already a thing. I can build on
even
it.
faster than I thought.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
And homegirl was
like, it was awesome.
Why should I hire you? And that whole that also was one of my favorite moments of the two black women in the room, and one of them has this very powerful job, and they could have made her a jerk. Like they could have made her how they often portray black women in power, instead of them reaching out a hand and bringing each other in. We have often been represented the complete opposite, and then there has to be this crazy takeover story, and it wasn't that. It was more so of how I've experienced life, with collaboration and with reaching and like bringing someone in because you see something in them. And I thought that was super dope. I would like to see more scenes more of that.
Yeah. I thought that was amazing. I think that everything about this show or this film was so
Hmm.
carefully done. And so I think us as black people and us as black women in particular, whoever came up, but like all the people responsible, I think were very, very careful to honor us in this movie.
Yeah.
And not only with the dynamic with her and her producer boss, but also her and her cousin. Like that that whole dynamic,
Yeah.
um, where they were just the best of friends. And one thing that I really appreciated about the cousin, and I can't even think of her name right now, is she was wild, she was
Yeah.
loose,
All I saw was
she was
Michaela Pratt. Like,
yeah,
trying to get away with
she
murder. That's who I saw. I'm like, it's not Michaela.
yeah,
She's
she
different.
was she was wild and loose and free
Hmm.
and young and having a good time.
In the 60s,
But
in the, well, 50s and
in the
60s.
60s. But what was so beautiful to me was that they Mona,
Mm.
they gave they gave her character this amazing job in the civil rights movement.
Yes.
Like
It was,
she was so
she like,
important
where are you
to
now?
the culture,
Yeah. Yeah.
to the movement. And it wasn't just about her just flouncing around doing whatever. Like
Being a hottie.
she was
Yeah. Because they could have made her
bossing it.
just a promiscuous, fun cousin, and they didn't. It was a subtle way of giving her depth. And we can be all of these different layers. We are all of these different layers of things where we can be
Yeah.
fun, but also a boss, and also out here on the front lines fighting for literally everything that Black women fight for, and also be the TV producer and pull the
Exactly.
girl out the switchboard room and bring her in so that she can take over. Like we are so many things, and I love that the way that the movie addressed that. And we can be the uptight mom, like etiquette
Hmm.
teacher who's trying to keep up appearances, and we have been and we are all those things.
Yeah, which at the end of the day, to be fair to the mom, it was really about setting the stage for her daughter to have the best life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the best life
But
as far as she could
yeah,
see.
sorry, she
You know,
decided that this is what she should have.
right,
In
right.
terms of that
Probably,
time, looking at how they lived, and like clearly she's very successful during this time. They live in Harlem in this beautiful house. Like they didn't get into the struggle of how they got there. We don't get real backstory on the parents. Parents are probably coming up. I mean, if she was a teenager in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s, to
right,
to get to
right,
that place, and they created this whole life where she could be pretty much a socialite and have access to all of the things that some of our grandmothers didn't have during that time.
right,
So I get it. I get the that aspect of the story, even though it wasn't explored. It makes complete sense.
right, sure. Yeah.
I wrote down something else that I loved. The fact that Nancy Wilson was part of the movie. Like,
Oh
I thought they could have
my
picked
God.
anybody, and it was Nancy,
But
and I was
she
just
was
like, oh,
perfect.
so perfect. I wish
Perfect.
that I had got to experience a Nancy Wilson concert in my lifetime. But she left behind so much, and then now that just that little touch of her, like, you want to come to Nancy Wilson concert? It was just, I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We had Nancy for a little bit.
Yeah,
We had her for we had her for because she died within the last few years.
yeah.
But we didn't have her like that.
Like they had her, like they got it.
No,
I didn't get it until
they-
it was pretty much a wrap, and when
she
I
was a
started
veteran.
really
Yeah.
singing jazz and really realizing that, wait a minute, she came up where I am, like right now in Columbus. I was already,
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that.
yeah, she went to I believe East High School here, and then went
Okay.
off to be the great Nancy Wilson, but she was singing here.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I love Nancy Wilson. So yeah, so that was just again, it was all the things that we needed, including Nancy Wilson, including, um, you know, one of the things that I loved was how well dressed
Yeah.
all the characters were, but the brothers, I was like, Lord, have mercy. Like it was just like, oh my God, to have been alive and young
I
at
wanted
that
to
time.
be in that scene where Robert invited Sylvie to come see his band play, and they were like in the club, and I was just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, oh my God, I miss going to shows so much."
First of all,
And B, I'm like, that would have been such a good time for me to live then and to just be in that space. Like it was just so glamorous and just the music, the ambiance, like everything about it. That I think that
but
might
you
be one of
but
my
the
favorite
cool
scenes.
thing for me, um, taking COVID out of the equation, because you and I both are or were or whatever event
Sure.
curators. And
Uh-huh.
so we created experiences for people, experiences that they may not have otherwise gotten to have if
Yeah.
we didn't reach back and
Yeah.
have that appreciation for the way
Hmm.
things were back then. If we weren't courageous enough to bring somebody to our city that maybe the people didn't know about, but we knew that they should know about them.
Yeah.
And so the wonderful thing about us and about people like us at this time is that we can do whatever we want. We can reach back and recreate those things, kind of the way we did when we did Billy.
And
We
we'll do it again.
recreated a whole vibe,
It was
and
amazing.
people were so hungry. Black people, white people, old
There was
people,
a
young
little
people.
Asian man in the audience. And I was like, where did she find a
Just-
little Asian man to come listen to
yeah,
me be Billie Holiday for a few hours? Like, my
yeah,
mind was blown.
and I felt a little of that that night.
Yeah. Yeah, for
People
sure. I was like, what?
dressed up and came out and experienced something glamorous, like the way we were.
Yeah.
And so to me, they did a beautiful job of taking our current actors and actresses and Namdi, if that's the way you pronounce
It's
it,
Nandi. I believe it's
to
Nandi.
Namdi, perfect. He was like he was just
He was charming in like a boyish charm kind of way, like very unassuming, which
mhm,
probably made her curious about him. He had
yeah.
like he was like chill. He was just enough that I can see
He was
how
like Chicago sweet.
I can see how what the appeal was. He was like it wasn't too much, even like when he invited her out, and then in the scene when they are locked in the basement, like just the way that he treated her and he was towards her, even when he found out what had been hidden from him, in his
Mhm,
reaction was very like
yeah,
tempered, and I appreciated that because that could have been written so differently.
yeah.
I
He
would have
was
liked to
just
see him. Well, I
bomb.
guess he did have a friend in the movie, but I would have liked to see more like of the guys interacting.
Yeah, I think they tried to give us a little bit of the Chico character, Chicago Sweet. He was just
Hmm.
straight up, ladies' man or
True.
whatever, but he was
Yeah.
so beautiful to look at too. But
Like
they gave I think they gave us the friend dynamic. They really it was really a well-rounded movie. It
it's good
explored
when you want
friendships.
more. Like the fact that I'm like, and
Yeah,
I would like more of this, and I would like more of this. That is what you want. Like that means
exactly.
you freaking nailed it.
Right.
Let's see. Wow, it was like I've seen some people say like, oh, I tried to watch it, it was just really slow. And I think that is just a testament to people being used to a different kind of storytelling. Like a lot of times in movies, things are really rushed and everything, the plot
Yeah.
progresses so fast and attention spans are so short, and love is not. always liked that. And I
Yeah.
thought the piece of the movie was perfect.
I think I think you're right. I mean, it spoke to the hopeless romantic in me. Because I'm not the um and this is, this is just me, but I'm not the quick rush microwave love. I want that you had to season it and marinate it
The
and
slow
wait a
burn.
minute, and there was a little bit of anticipation and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. You need that. I don't This is one of the things that kind of drives my decision making even now in terms of dating and all of that kind of stuff. Is that I want to be able to look back over my story and be proud to tell my grandchildren this is how me
Me too.
and me and me and Poppy, got together. This was
Me and Papa.
this is how this was, and give them something to be like, I want my stuff to be like grandma's. I don't want to have to brush parts of my story under the rug because, and not to say that things can't happen fast because they can, but
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
perfect to me. It spoke to every part of me
There
for
was a
sure.
scene where they dancing in the street. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
girl.
That the the color choices. So since I'm now like all deep into photography and whatnot, and like I love artistic photography
Hmm.
and like when you just have an eye for certain like just how that shot happened, I was like, ah, like this is so beautiful. And the colors are kind of
Yeah.
muted, but then there's like just little pop, like there's a little orange and a little
Hmm.
yellow, and then but the pavement's kind of dark, and there's like teals and the wardrobe choices, the color palette was just stunning to me.
Yep.
There, another scene where she comes to find him before he gets in the car with the little fast girl, and she's like coming down
Uh-huh.
the alley, and
Yeah.
the way that was shot, like that, it could just like you could just pause the screen and just look at it, and I was just like, oh, this is breathtaking on how they did it. Like everything is a poster in that movie, or could be a
Yeah.
poster.
It was thoughtful. That's one of the words that I can freely use about it. Like it was like they said, we're not gonna rush this out.
Mhm.
Let's think about all of everybody's senses and what
Yeah.
appeals to men and to women and to us as a community. And they did a fantastic job. So
Yeah.
for people who felt like it was slow, I don't really know what to say because I think they built the story so perfectly, and the attraction was immediate. Like the scene where you talked about them getting locked in the basement.
Yeah.
Now she had to know that
Of
that door did that, and
course she
so I felt
did.
like she kind of was like, I'm trying to get locked down in here in this basement with you because I
Try,
want to
let me
talk to
see.
you.
Let me see what's up with him.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a very thoughtful
You know
film
what
all
I
the way
thought in my modern mind? I was like, dang, they really survived without cell phones. Like,
She's like, I guess we have to wait until my dad comes back. And I'm like,
guess
yeah,
it'll
girl,
just
you
be
know
down
that.
here. But in my 2020, 2020 at the time, mine. So I watched it on New Year's Eve, like when the ball was dropping. I was
Hmm.
watching Sylvie's Love, which for me was exactly what I needed to
Yeah,
move on into the next year. But that's what I was thinking when they were sitting in the basement. Like, if I was down there, I would have my cell phone and I would just call somebody and be
yeah,
like, I'm stuck in the basement. Or I would say my phone died if I wanted to stay stuck in the basement. But
yeah. I would definitely have said my phone died, definitely, because
I absolutely love it. I found this list online of it was like 17 best black romance movies. I didn't write all of them
okay.
down, just wrote some of them down. I was trying to
Hmm.
find like modern, like post 2010 movies, but there wasn't very many on the list, which
What, the photograph, maybe?
Photograph was on the list. If Bill Street Could Talk. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that?
I haven't either. I heard it was kind of traumatic, and
I
I'm
didn't want to see. I think that is why I didn't see it. The same thing with Clean and Slim. It's like I just really wanted a
Mhm.
happy ending.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-mm.
and that was those were the only ones that were
Yeah.
on the list for like the last 10 years. I'm like, that's absolutely crazy. But of course, the regulars, Love Jones, Love and Basketball, which I loved Love and Basketball when it happened, but in hindsight, I don't really like Quincy at all. Watching
Why,
it
sir? Get
now,
out of
it's
here.
like this dude, and also
Yeah.
also the hindsight with Love Jones. I feel like Nina was on BS playing games with Darius most of
Yeah.
that movie. I didn't think
Yeah.
so the first time, million times I saw it, but now I'm like,
Well, I think
so
when we first see movies like that, it's like the cast is beautiful, the story's sweet, and we don't really look at it.
and you tend to
But
be on the woman's side too. It's very like, what did he do, and why are they like going through this? And I don't look
right.
at it like that anymore. Who
Yeah,
else would
no,
you
not at all. Not at all. I think one of my favorites, even, and I don't know that because it was very problematic. So I don't know if you could really call it a love story, but one of my favorites is Mo Better Blues. And I think it was for the same reasons why I love Sylvie, some of the same reasons
Mhm,
why I love Sylvie's Love. It explored our music, jazz.
mhm.
It put it back in the forefront. Like that's our music. But then when you go to jazz clubs, you don't see us like
Yeah.
I feel we should.
I need to
And
watch
so
that movie as an adult. I have not watched that as an adult, and I'm sure it would be a totally different movie to me now.
it's it's not the love story of Sylvie's Love, definitely, but it was beautiful. The people were beautiful. The costumes were beautiful. The music was
Mhm.
amazing. It was all of that,
Denzel.
and the relationships were very, very problematic. But I don't know. Sometimes you catch. If you come across my page, you'll see Bleak, which is Denzel Washington's character, and Indigo, which is Joe Ali's character. I'll have a picture of them on my cover story because I'm really drawn to their love story, even though it
Mhm.
was really
I mean,
problematic. So
it be like
yeah,
that.
yeah, be like that.
Every love
Yeah,
story is, yeah, just right. So I really love that movie with Queen Latifah and
I did
Cummy.
like Just Right,
I
but
really love
I
that
had
movie.
issues with some of it too, of course.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
the sister and the whole, yeah. There's some
and
very,
then you know go back to my cousin and then come back to
yeah, the
me.
cousins.
No, we ain't gonna do that.
Yeah, but I just
Yeah,
I Queen Latifah. It was a good movie though. Like,
it was. It was.
Brown Sugar, of course, was on the list.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then Jason's Lyric, of course,
Of
because
course.
in a field of flowers. I mean, how could it not be?
Of course.
And I think that was Poetic Justice was on the list, but I never really think of that as a love story. But I guess it
Mm,
was ghetto love
I
story.
mean, not really. I don't
It
know. Like,
was
I
so
don't. That
ghetto.
isn't.
I love
I
Poetic
don't think.
Justice, but
I mean, you know,
I
I
would
like
never
poetic
be like
justice.
love stories,
That's
Poetic
my favorite
Justice.
love story. Mm,
It was on the list. What
yeah.
else is on here?
Yeah.
Moonlight, 2016. I've never seen it.
Okay. I didn't see it.
Um,
I didn't see it.
Stella, she on here.
Stella. Like how Stella got her groove back?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
And also, yeah, sure, okay, fine, but the way that the true story played out, not so
Yeah,
much.
you just kind of like, we know too much now, so,
Not too
you know.
much. It ruined everything. It totally ruined it.
Right.
I think that was it. Some of
Yeah.
these I haven't seen at all.
One thing I will say about Sylvie's Love while you're looking for that though, because I said that I would be honest and say that when I first saw it, it was like breathtaking and all of that.
Hmm.
But when I tried to watch it again last night, I couldn't get through it. Like, I think it hit so many buttons in terms of like how beautiful the love story was and how much he cared for her and how much he cared about him. And when you like fit in a certain space where you're emotional and wanting all of that kind of stuff that you
Yeah.
see, it was just like, I can't do this today, you know.
Yeah.
So, so
I was
it's
trying to
one of
watch
those.
it again and I couldn't. I was just like, even though it's only a few days later, was in a much different headspace the first time I watched
Yeah.
it. And it'll make you long for
Yes.
that kind of simplicity
Hmm.
in love. Even with
Absolutely.
what happened, it's still the love part. There was no question.
Hmm.
Like it was obvious. Like, and the way they fell in love was just so simple. And
Yeah.
even though she made a decision for both of them that he absolutely should have had a call in, um,
Absolutely.
but like give the man the courtesy of telling him what's going on. But that
That he
aside,
has the whole.
even
Yeah.
in that decision wasn't really made from a selfish place. Like that was
Mm-mm.
I don't want to mess up what I know this means so much to him. like I don't- like I got it. Still was wrong, but I understood
It was
it.
wrong.
But it wasn't
But I
from a
mean, and
place
then
of
I think
being,
he turned around and did the same thing later,
oh yeah.
you know. Yeah.
It's just it was the place the
Yeah,
where
that
they
got
were
on my
coming
nerves.
from. There was love in their choices.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that, you know, I think some of the back and forth was so real because even in love for real, we take each other through a lot of unnecessary stuff sometimes. And I'm just like, come on. But you know, it all worked out in the
It can all be so simple. But
but
no,
you'd rather make it
but
hard.
it's not. Because it's not.
No, yeah, yeah, true,
But it's
true.
absolutely not. Okay. Well, what's next for you? I mean, it is a weird time, and um, I don't know. Some days I feel like, oh, it's such a strange time. Can't do what I want to do. What I was doing. But then
Hmm.
and then other days I'm like, wow, it's really just open for us to whoever we want to do. We got to restructure it. It might look a little different and feel a little different. Um,
Yeah,
but from the standpoint of people like us who curate things and have made a whole thing out of creating, like you said, these experiences and putting these events on. I don't care what anybody says. Virtual is not the same as being in a room and looking in the faces of people. I mean,
no,
it's cool that we can still connect, but it's
yeah,
not the same.
no.
You know, like what do you do? What's next?
Ah, for me, it's gonna be writing. I want to get songbook out there, and get some like Sylvie's Love vibes going on in people's living rooms while they're reading. um, so that'll be for me. I'll be honest with you and say that it is hard for me to fathom what I will do next in terms of um, curating with
Because
the
you
way that
retired,
things are
right?
right now.
You had retired a few times.
I tried to retire, and you know, you know,
You
I tried, but it's hard for me to say what is going to be next for me on that tip because my creativity always it sees people in a room. It sees
yeah,
people with goosebumps and feeling feelings, and virtual just is not. It
no,
does not offer that. And I, like you said, I'm glad that it's available. I'm glad that we can still connect and we can still get to see an Eric Roberson concert. But I'm telling you, I watched some virtual stuff, and it ain't nothing like being in a room with that man when he's doing what he do.
yeah,
It's not the same. And
yeah,
so I can honestly say that on the curator side, I have no idea. And I'm
and
just praying to God that this
I fully
thing
believe
dries
that
up.
we will absolutely be back to doing things with an even greater appreciation of what we do.
Yeah,
Even like it's going to mean more than it
so
ever
much more.
did. Now
Hmm.
that you some they take it away and you appreciate it. So I think
Yeah.
it'll change some of the ways and some of the what we put into it. Because I know
Hmm.
me, like I have all these grand ideas, but I might do some of them. Like when we can go back, I'm doing everything. Like you
Right.
might see fireworks on the stage. I don't know. I'm gonna
Right.
just
That's
wear
right.
sequin every time I sing. like
And
so.
people need it.
Absolutely. All the things, all the glitter, all the glitz. I miss it very much. I too have no idea when the last So Dope Sunday was a year ago in February. And I cannot believe like that. A whole year.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it has been a year. It feels
I know.
like
And
one
like,
more week. But
can you believe the last time I was on stage was when you were there, in March of last year when we
March
did
6th.
the Love Jones experience. And that was so great.
Oh,
Like you and
it
your
was so
band.
good.
And
It was so
it
good.
was so great. It was so
It was
great. And the
like I
background
finally
singer.
have my own band, yay! And then people were messaging me like, "Okay, I want to book your band." And then it was like a week later, "Okay,
It
school's
was a
out."
week later
Like
that,
I just quit my
yeah.
job. Like what?
Yeah. But what I'm thankful for, honestly, with that, is that we got a chance to do it
It
before all of this happened,
absolutely
because
perfect.
it left us on this note of this is what it can be,
This is what it can be.
this is
It can
what
be
it
even
can
better
be.
than this, and it will
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
at
And it
some
will
point.
be.
At some
Yeah.
point, it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Sure.
is. I need those vibes back. But this is a time I think to restructure and to really, me personally, I have to write down like, because I do so many things. What can go? What can be hobby? What do I
Right.
not need to do as a thing?
Mhm.
And I wouldn't have taken the time to do that if everything was still going at the
Oh
pace
yeah,
that it
no.
was at all.
Yeah.
Like some of the things wouldn't have happened. Maybe you would have been taking even longer to do this songbook because you would be
I would be busy
doing
doing
who knows what.
whatever. Yeah.
Like Zoe and Carmen Rogers are back again.
Five is back again, and Camille's back again, and Bashiri's back again, and all of that, and that was great. It was great, and people still talk about it, and
Mhm.
they'll keep talking about it because it really was like it was great. But this time has afforded me, and you know this about me. It's afforded me more time to talk to Jesus. Me and him, we've been here, and
Yes.
just so whatever, when it all opens up, wherever he leads me, that's where I'm going. Because um, one like this all happened in such a blink, and we don't know what the next thing will be. So we just got to take and go with all we have toward what we were born to do, because
Yeah.
we just don't know when that opportunity is going to be put on pause again. So
I don't think
yeah, so when
any.
it's time, just get ready, y'all, because it's gonna be amazing.
Can you imagine when outside opens back up and they're like, you can come bring your instruments back, and the people can come and they can just be here while put a show on. Like how exciting it will
It's gonna
be
be
when
exciting.
that first
I'm
one's out.
telling you, I got my budget going for all the concerts. Like I'm flying out of town to go see people. That's how much I miss it.
I need to see Jasmine. I need to see BJ. I need to
Yeah.
see. I don't even know. I have like a whole. I need to see Lettucey. Um, there's so many people like all of the concert. Who is it? I don't care. I want to go.
I don't care.
I
Go.
don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be
I
in the
definitely.
building.
Well,
I
I
can't even.
think too, you should. I think, now everybody's at home and everything. So we need to be reaching out to some people and being like, hey, Camille can do this duet with you. And
Whatever.
yeah,
Like I can
yeah.
just ooh and ah.
BJ's one of those.
I'm just trying to get
people
in
we
the
need to
room.
see somewhere.
Just get in the room. Once he meets me, he'll be like, "Yeah, girl, what's
Oh yeah, absolutely,
mm,
for sure. Yeah.
what's in here?"
So
That
I
is what
think
you
there'll
want.
be so much more gusto, even more than what you had before. We definitely still want to visit the Phyllis Hyman piece. Everybody in
Listen,
the city
you
is
are like
super
this
excited
Phyllis
about you
Hyman
doing
thing
that.
is happening. You will sing these songs. You will put your clip-on earrings on and put on
Yeah,
a blazer with some sparkles on it, and you will sing Phyllis Hyman, and I will do it.
yeah.
I will
Yeah,
do
and
it.
it's like everything that we've done together, like the Billie Holiday and the Via Love shows and the Love Jones Experience show. It's all been about love. So how like crazy appropriate it is for us to be sitting here tonight talking about all the beautiful things Black love tonight.
That was the
Awesome.
perfect thing.
Yeah.
Even with the interruptions, that's actually going to make it easier for me to edit this because
Okay, cool.
I won't have to break it down so much into sections.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I think that is all. It's almost 9. See, I said it would be done by 9. Um,
Right.
hey, how people all up in here? Yes, BJ and Leslie, because they
BJ
have a song
Lindsay.
together that is really
Do
good.
do
BJ
they?
and
Okay.
Leslie.
Okay.
BJ has songs with lots of people. Actually, he has a song with Jill Scott. Trying to think who else. Lots of people. I
I'm
don't know
just saying he out here giving out collaborations.
who. Hey, it's me, dear
You see?
BJ, the Chicago kid, because I could actually
You know,
tag
I'll
you
email him. You
on
know,
Instagram.
after reaching out to Zoe and Carmen Rogers from Foreign Exchange, like I Facebook messaged him and got my first show booked with him. So I ain't scared to reach out to nobody. I'm just like, hey,
Yeah, got to make this happen. BJ at
yeah,
BJ the Chicago Kid on Instagram because this is going on my IG stories. We need to know each other. You group text me all the time. And I just want to come to the studio. Just want to be a fly on
yep,
the wall. That's all.
it'd be
Not really, but
amazing.
that's my
All
plea.
you need to do is get in the room and just start humming, and then that'll
Just be
be it.
myself. People, when I
Yeah.
be myself, tends to work out in my favor.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think we will definitely do the scan and talk about more love things because I'm sure more love
Yes.
things are coming. Um,
Yes.
did you watch Bridgerton yet? Because we can talk about that another day.
I have not. I have
Okay.
not. Should I? Would
Yes.
I?
Yes.
You okay? Okay.
Yes.
Because you know how I am.
You don't want to talk
So
about it. So watch that and then we talk about that.
okay, we'll talk about that next time. Okay, cool.
Okay. Thank you for watching and for being here on the So Dope Show on this. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Whatever.
Wednesday.
It doesn't matter. Until next time,
Okay.
I will be back with another beautiful Black person, more than likely, talking about something amazing.
The So Dope Show.